Hello and welcome. You're in the right place. My name is Ben McDougall. I am an author, a founder, and a community builder. And as an entrepreneurial ecosystem builder, education, right? And looking at how our future continues to grow through awareness, the confidence that comes with technology and how kids are interacting with the world. Today's a special little webinar focused on a crowdfunding campaign for Coco Coders. I've got the CEO in the house. Elizabeth Tweedale has joined us. And today we're going to have some fun. We're going to talk with her one-on-one. Feel free to throw some questions into the mix. This is an interactive webinar that you're watching, but we'll also be sharing this video on the campaign page for you to learn a little bit more about the mission and all the remarkable work of Elizabeth, her team, and the impact that's being made worldwide. Elizabeth, welcome.
Thank you so much, Ben. Thank you for hosting this. We always love to interact with your energy and super glad to be here and answer everyone's questions. So happy to dive in.
Absolutely. Let's do that. We've got only about a half an hour together, right? So we're going to keep these answers concise. As I mentioned, if you've got some questions, feel free to click around this page to look at the different FAQ areas to explore your specific questions, but you know you're welcome to reach out anytime. So Elizabeth, let's dive in with just kind of a brief introduction of Coco Coders and the overall mission.
Great, awesome. Yeah, Coco Coders essentially teaches kids age 6 to 12 how to code via live online small cohort group lessons every week. Our creative content is what really engages a broad range of children to spark really that interest in STEM and technology before the crucial age of 14 to ensure that they're future ready. And, we have a great vision and mission to go along with that. Our vision really encompasses a world where children will have an unlimited appetite for curiosity, which enables them to move forward, open new doors, tackle whatever this crazy future of tech brings, and become successful and valuable members of their communities. And the Coco mission really is about becoming the global leader in technology education for children and developing creative, collaborative, and curious humans just all around, because that's what we all know is going to make us all a success in the future.
Curiosity paired with like initiative, some of the real skills. That's like the future of work, my friends. So definitely have a heart for this mission. And it's neat to see how Coco Coders delivers such an experience that resonates with students, parents, and educators alike. I mean, how did you get into this, Elizabeth?
Yeah, great question. It sort of is the kind of merging of a lot of pieces of my background. I come from sort of a traditional computer science background with deep AI expertise, also a master's in architecture. But I was sort of that techie gamer geek as a child that probably would have become a computer scientist, whether you help me or not. But I was also the only girl in computer science, which really fueled this passion for making tech education accessible to all, not just girls, but also boys that are less techie and, maybe the sporty ones. So over the years, I've authored several books in the coding for kids space and founded previous businesses in this space as well. One of my previous businesses was in sort of the AI space, which is coming back to that deep-rooted passion in tech and AI. It's in the B2B space, more in the prop tech, sort of, not too interesting unless you're kind of in prop tech, but if you are, it's super exciting. Then after that, I also established the UK's leading coding school for kids, which is what Coco spun out of. And that is more about the in-person hands-on learning experience, but that's where a lot of our team on Coco and I really put the foundational groundwork in to understand how these young minds learn and access this kind of important information for the future. So Coco sort of was birthed out of these two pieces, and seeing this real need for a different way to educate our children in the future and create a great product for the world.
Well, it's clear you're not a first-time founder, right? You've gone down this path. You've felt the entrepreneurial lifestyle. And while, prop tech might not directly connect to ed tech, there's lots of parallels. One of the
Definitely.
things that we spoke about on a podcast that we shared together was computational thinking and learning how these types of mindsets can activate different types of audiences. And so as you work with curriculum, making sure that the experience resonates for like lasting, lifelong learning. Those are some neat things that are woven into the Coco Coders experience from that past experiential wisdom. You mentioned your team though, Elizabeth. Let's talk a little bit about Coco Coders and the team that's growing around this venture.
Yeah, great question. I think particularly as a solo founder, I believe in surrounding myself with incredible people. Our Coco team, as well as our advisors, most of them I've worked with for years and years. They're really second to none. We have seasonal educators on the team, AI experts, B2C subscription growth experts, B2B strategy ed tech partnership gurus that know how to build out successful scale up businesses. And really, we're almost like a team of successful entrepreneurs that have all come together to bring this wealth of experience and passion to Coco Coders, creating, the backbone of this venture, and knowing that we each bring unique resources to be able to turn this into the future that we see is a possibility. So my team is definitely second to none, but we also have over 65 contract teachers who are the most passionate and kind people, and super inspiring, not only to the team and I as we watch their videos quite frequently, but also to all of these children. So we're joined by a lot of really passionate students or teachers or professionals out in the tech field that want to pass on their love and knowledge of the tech industry, or their passion for AI or creativity or collaboration or communication to these young people as well. So definitely have a
That's so sweet. Man, we can do a lot in the connected era, right? There's abilities to do more with less, leveraging the internet and all of the superpowers that we have in our pocket and sitting in front of us. But as you build a team, boy, you can really access exponential capabilities. And I think Elizabeth is a great example of a crew that's not cloning themselves, right? You don't put wide receiver at linebacker. And so finding folks that complement skills while like overlapping experience. And one of the things I find super compelling is the network of educators who are part of this experience, furthering the interaction for students and themselves, right? Communities of practice, learning from each other through this platform. What a neat way to build leadership from within while brewing it along the way. So thinking about that roadmap, right? What a quest, what a journey. What are some milestones that you and the team have in mind, both near term and maybe along the way?
Yeah, so we've achieved so much in the last couple of years. As I sort of mentioned, we spun out of our sister company, Cypher Coders, and now are officially launched in the US, standalone company. I think our most recent achievement that I'm super excited about is to share that we've reached over $500,000 in ARR, which is annual recurring revenue, because we have a subscription model. So that's super exciting. And the team has worked so hard to create this amazing sticky product that we know our students can come in at the age of 6 and stay with us right through 12. Experiencing so many different levels and certifications along the way. So that 500K ARR is a huge milestone for us and was one of the kind of main catalysts for going out and raising this investment round. We've also taught over 4,000 students today, which is just, gives me goosebumps even just thinking about it. But, we're not stopping there. We're looking to triple. And we have a really solid plan to execute that. We also have some amazing content, which is crucial to this teaching mechanism. We have over 100 hours of proprietary content now, and we're also STEM certified, which kind of gives that stamp of approval that the way that we're teaching computer science as well as computational thinking and all of these ways of learning, has an accreditation body behind it as well. One of our about to launch features is our unique live online classroom, which is in the beta phase, which we're going to be rolling out in the next couple of weeks. This has been a huge undertaking, transforming the way that children learn in an online environment. We've all been through COVID and had to put our kids on Zoom or Google Meet or, heaven forbid, Microsoft Teams, and creating a new way for children to access online learning is something that is the foundational piece behind Coco as well. So super excited. We're about to launch our own classroom. Half our students are using that now. And coming back to my super passion, we've also spec'd out the AI behind our platform and are ready to start training some of those models with all of the kind of bits and pieces that we're recording and understanding now as we educate these children. So there's definitely some revenue achievements. We have had a lot of great students, hoping to get tons more in, but really our classroom and that AI piece are next on the roadmap, which we're super excited about.
Very cool. I mean, some of those prerequisites of curriculum supported by, governing bodies, that stuff's in place. But my friends, the investors who are watching this right now, that's not a signal of traction. That is traction. And paired with a variety of other achievements along the way. When I think about, whether it's an angel investor writing that first check, someone who's exploring crowdfunding as a path to learn more about this interesting way of diversifying your financial portfolio, this is cool because you get to be a part of this story and maybe not have to do as much of the active effort from the team. And so what a neat way to get involved through this like community driven path into a rocket ship that's already launched. And so I love some of those milestones that were mentioned. I also like the future vision of where this can continue to evolve based off those paying customers. So cheers to those milestones. Let's talk a little bit to those investors about this experience working through a crowdfunded campaign. Maybe it's your first time on WeFunder and you're like, okay, so how much do I invest and what do I get and how does it work and let's talk a little bit about that. Elizabeth, why don't you riff on kind of the format that you think is this win-win?
Yeah, awesome. Well, essentially, yeah, you hit the nail on the head for a lot of our, parents and teachers and community, friends and family. They kind of are unsure what this crowdfunding or community funding round means, but essentially it's a way for non-accredited investors to invest into companies like ours for equity or essentially shares in the company. So essentially those that do invest in this round will be a part of our company and therefore benefit from our success in the future. For this investment round, people are investing under a SAFE. So that's also, one of the questions that we've had frequently, which essentially, well, it stands for a simple agreement for future equity. It's a type of investment contract that's pretty commonly used for startups to raise capital with early stage investors. With a SAFE agreement, we then can, the investors can then secure shares in the company at a future date, oftentimes with a discount, which is what we're offering. So when we raise our next round and institutional investors say, okay, Elizabeth, Coco Coders is worth this amount, they're going to pay, I don't know, $10 a share. So essentially receiving more shares for that investment that they're putting in now to help catapult our growth. That makes sense.
One elephant in the room for someone who's watching might be like, okay, so you've got all this revenue, you've got some existing investors already committed. Why take a community-driven path with so much existing momentum?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. We do have really strong professional investors behind us, which I'm super, excited about, and are actively speaking to additional professional investors as well to join this round and subsequent rounds. But for us, what was really important was that our friends and family, that community, the parents of the students that we're teaching, our teachers, have even joined the crowdfunding round, that all of those people that believe in our vision and mission can benefit from, what we're building. And aside from that, because we have the backing of these professional investors, we also know that the crowdfunded position of our round is even stronger because they will have the oversight and the support of those institutional investors who have a much bigger vested interest to ensure that our company succeeds in the future. So essentially, we were really keen to get our community involved so that they can capitalize on the benefits that the professional investors are doing and on our future success. And also, of course, help us along the way by referring friends and others to join the Coco courses and our future success.
Well, we'll talk about this in a moment, but if you have parents thinking about this opportunity, it's kind of a no-brainer. Let's get to that in a moment. But I first want to commend the generosity of decentralizing this opportunity in a way that allows more people to access this cool opportunity, right? And along the way, boy, the network effect, experiential wisdom gets woven in to this group of folks that are building this quest together. So cheers to this initiative, in addition to the existing momentum. When I'm an investor, okay, sometimes investors want to make more money based off the money that they've invested. Now, philanthropy is cool too.
Times.
Believe that. Following this mission and just saying go is an interesting vibe. But when you think about the returns, when you think about how this experience might turn one into more, talk a little bit about what you hope to provide as when it comes to like early bird perks, some of the exciting things that come along with jumping into this WeFunder.
Yeah. So two pieces. So first on the perks, and I think you mentioned that a lot of these potential investors are parents. We have some, it's similar to, on Kickstarter, where if you invest then you get the game kind of thing. So some of our perks are geared towards prospects and parents that want to take our courses. So on the page, you can see, if you invest $1,000 as an example, you'll have 50% off a year's coding lesson for your kids. So essentially already getting half of that money back, which is awesome. There's some bigger perks as well that are sort of starting to speak about our corporate sponsorship. So for those that invest 25K or more, we work with them to co-invest for providing corporate sponsorships for our scholarship students as well, which is one of the huge initiatives we're getting off the ground this year that I'm also super thrilled about. My favorite perk, just on the perks, is if you invest 50K, you get to name one of our Coco characters. So I'm pretty excited to see what's going to come out of that, because we could also work with you to design the future Coco's sidekicks along the way. But you mentioned the early bird terms as well, which I think is important to point out. We put this early bird discount into our round so that those that come in these really early stages can invest alongside with the exact same terms as our institutional investors, which is essentially a 25% discount off of the future share price After those early bird terms wrap up in about a week, then that will be 20% if you can, and get in there early. So
Very cool, very cool. Well, I'm going to reserve Benergy as a name for one of these Coco coder
I love it.
characters. Yeah, there we go, there we go. But one thing I want to double click on real quick is that sponsorship opportunity for companies that are looking to like blur the line between classroom and community. What a neat way to unlock opportunity for others through that generous leadership. I think that opportunity to collaborate through that channel is something we spoke about on You Don't Need This podcast. And I just think that's a really cool angle for companies who appreciate like the future of work and collaborating with educational organizations. You know, one of the questions that came from our room, we've got plenty of people that are hanging out and enjoying our time together. Elizabeth, thanks again for your time sharing the opportunity that this is. But there was a question in the chat about like the return timeline. And it's, you know, not possible to say X equals Y, but when you think about delivering to investors, what are some of your hopes?
Yeah, great question. I think there's an easy answer, and then there's maybe a little bit more elaborate. If I start with the easy answer, that's always sort of in the back of my head. We expect that our investors should see a 3 to 5 times return on their investment within 5 years. And that's something that the team and I are always kind of thinking about and pushing forward and using in our strategy sessions to figure out our next steps. But essentially, if we think about exit opportunities, we have kind of 3 different options that we're thinking about. The first of which is using our explosive growth and unique market positioning, which can lead to an acquisition. In this piece, it's sort of echoing the success stories like EverFi's $700 million, essentially an edtech company that came out of the banking crisis in 2008 and taught financial literacy to children via corporate sponsorship. So we're kind of, you know, taking a bit of a page out of their playbook to add that extra corporate angle into our already thriving B2C opportunities. So the second of which is, aside from just the growth of our actual subscriptions and revenue and profits, is looking at our cutting edge AI learning platform, which will become a magnet for strategic alliances in edtech with those kind of edtech giants, promising to sort of elevate the online education system and therefore multiply investment returns as we become, you know, a ripe opportunity for either merging or being acquired by one of those companies. Our third sort of train of thought behind this is following and pushing through with that vision that we're pursuing, which is essentially the successful redefinition of the educational ecosystem, using our experiences, teaching kids how to code, but also then in the development behind that online learning environment, making it super engaging for children, but also a better teaching environment for our teachers and to find their success in engaging those students. At that point, we're essentially then becoming one of those ed tech giants, and we'll have the opportunity to start acquiring others to teach other things besides just coding for kids. So long story short, we have, you know, a few different exit acquisition opportunities, or to look to kind of grow into that sort of big tech giant IPO stage. But back of our mind, we have that sort of 5-year, 3 to 5 time minimum return in our heads that we're constantly checking back in on.
Very nice, very nice. As Seth Godin talks about, every story will end, right? And so thinking about that exit strategy and thinking as a group some milestones to achieving that vision is good. And as an investor, you can gain confidence, I think, in the appreciation of your contributions, but also the interest in really growing to a point of huge value for not only the students, educators, parents, but investors and the team as well. When you think about customer acquisition costs, Elizabeth, thanks again. I hope you're having fun with this. Click around, by
I
the
am.
way.
It's
You
great.
know you've got FAQs. You've got more information about this opportunity throughout this WeFunder page. But let's finish strong. We've got about 5 more minutes left. When you think about acquiring customers, what's your CAC or your customer acquisition cost?
Yeah, great question. So essentially our CAC now, we're achieving a 1 to 9 CAC to LTV payback. I think that's a lot of acronyms. It might be easiest to just quickly pull up our data dashboard to share with you and to kind of talk about all of
Oh,
the
behind the scenes, behind the
this is
scenes.
behind the scenes, yes. So I think when we get into CAC, one of the things that we're obsessed with is data. We have a number of key performance indicators we keep a close eye on. The obvious ones are active subscriptions, churn, retention, how well our funnel is performing, traffic,
Oh,
guides.
KPIs, knowing the numbers.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. So if we scroll on down to our CAC section, since you've asked about that, essentially what CAC is a calculation of the amount of money that we spent on advertising divided by the number of paid students we have gained directly from those ad sales. So we track both our 3-month and our 6-month CAC because obviously some people convert a little bit over time. So as time goes on, those numbers will adjust based on who signed up that we had paid for at that point. So one of the exciting things that we're also tracking is our CAC payback, which is really important. Essentially, that's the time that it takes for us to recover the revenue that we've paid for these customers. Now, industry average is about 12 months, or anything below 12 months in the ed tech space is considered good. And we're consistently under 4 months to recoup that revenue. This is really important because that means we can then start reinvesting those funds into more customers. So starting to create that viral effect as we grow. Some of the other bits and pieces, which I love looking at, is our projected lifetime value. Now, this is a conservative estimate because we've cut it off at 2 years. And I think, as I mentioned previously, a child could start with us at 6 and can continue on for 6 years. But we're still fresh. We've only have about 2 years of data. So looking at how much by cohort our students are spending on average in their lifetime, and then comparing that to the amount that we've had to pay in order to acquire those customers. So this is just a little peek into our data dashboard, but I thought would be helpful in terms of painting a picture of the behind the scenes metrics that we're making sure. Other just important thing to note, and I think it kind of leads into why we're fundraising a little bit, is what our Google ads and our paid ads are telling us now. So one of the exciting things that our ad accounts are showing that is, even if we increase our spend by 3 times, our CPC won't increase. That means cost per click. So essentially you put an ad out there, every time somebody clicks on it, you have to pay Google or Meta or whoever it is. And they're telling us, based on their data and analytics, that we could triple our spend and we wouldn't see any increase in that, essentially in the CAC that we're progressing into. So this is essentially another kind of key marker of the reason why we need investment now, because we need to essentially feed that B2C funnel that we now have up and running and churning out the young minds of the future. So pretty exciting stuff to share, and can go into that for ages, but I know we're getting close on time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, as you found product market fit, the money that goes into the machine has more confidence in that equaling more. It's less exploratory or experimental. And so that's one of the opportunities I think investors have, is coming into something that's a bit further downstream. And I love that. And so as we close down, we have one more question that somewhat segues to what you just shared, and then we'll wrap things up. But knowing that people are probably curious, okay, you mentioned one example of how you might use some of this financial capital, but what are some of the other plans when you think about activating your roadmap using this capital that will be infused.
Yeah, great. So essentially half of the money that we're raising is to fuel that B2C growth, which is, the ad spend and that kind of thing. Now, don't get me wrong, we're also growing our, adding fuel to the fire, but, fueling the ad growth, as well as launching our B2B corporate sponsorship. So I touched on this a couple of times, but essentially facilitating our go-to-market strategy on how we sign up corporates. We just need a bit of a landing page, sign up forms, that kind of thing, which again, we all have spec'd out, but we just need a little bit of capital to get that off the ground. But that's something that Bob and I are really spearheading in the first instance. So a little bit later down the road this year, hiring a salesperson to help us out with that once we have it all the kinks worked out. And then the tech and AI piece, which is super exciting. So I mentioned the classroom, but we need development support to take that to the next level and to start with some of the training behind our AI that will facilitate that classroom and make it even stronger for an online education environment for kids. Those kind of two pieces are super important to also take us to that next priced round that we've been talking about, which will convert the safes with the discount, because that will show that a lot of the things that we have proven out in kind of smaller scale with, an ad budget of 5K a month, which if anyone, is in the ad space knows that's not very much. That even when we do triple it and, we do kind of increase our numbers by threefold, that we're still seeing the same metrics that we're seeing now, be able to go out to market and say, we're ready for a bigger chunk of money to really take this to where it needs to get to. So we have a really clear roadmap what to do with those funds, and we're super excited to get everything kicked off and rolling.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. So we've reached our time. I don't want to put anyone in detention, but we do have a bonus question from our audience. We'll take another minute or two, then we'll close things down, right? So you just talked about some of the ways that these funds would be activated, but maybe just turn the knob a little bit on some of your marketing focuses. And the question was also around some international growth opportunities.
Oh, that's a great question, because it might kind of fall under the radar, but presently 2/3 of our students are based in the UK. This comes from, our network and what we've grown previously with our other businesses, and 1/3 are in the US. I think that's a really important piece to mention, because it shows that we can easily internationally, whether that's in Australia or, it's easier going up and down from America, Canada, etc. But our focus will first be on international English speaking countries because we have the most expertise there. But those are sort of easy wins as and when we're ready to essentially turn on ads in different countries. And on that, I just wanted to mention that we're also super fortunate that one of our advisors is the Chief Strategy Officer of Bumble. So she has been essential in kind of rolling out that app and subscription business to different countries all around the world in different areas, and knows firsthand where to place ad spend, how to go to market in a consumer subscription product. Obviously, we're not like Bumble, but next phases, there's parents and they're signing up for these subscriptions for their children. So we have really great insights into how we can also roll out internationally as and when funds allow.
Very cool. Well, thank you again to everyone who has joined us for this interactive webinar. Elizabeth, it's been amazing.
Thank you, Ben, for being such a great facilitator.
This is fun. The energy of accelerating others is unmatched, my friends. And so as we close down, I think it would make sense for you to have the final word. I'd say, something I write in all of my books: may the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. Elizabeth, why don't you close us down? And thanks again for joining us.
Thank you so much, Ben, and thank you for everyone that's joined us live, but also for everyone that's watching this after the fact. We're super excited to get you all involved in our growth potential. And if you have any additional questions that we didn't have time to answer here today, pop them in the WeFunder Q&A, or we'll also post an update if we missed any on the script. Thank you everyone for coming, and we are so excited to be building this future of education for all of our children and all of the children of the future to make our world that much better, especially in this crazy tech and AI day and age that we are all living in. Thanks, guys, and have a good one.